I used to do lots of things.
I used to do things and I'd say things and Jesus, I was evil. Say things and break things and Jesus, I was evil.
I've been hogging on the intros lately. Why don't you do something, Ben?
Oh God, I do everything. All right.
Yeah.
Welcome back to another episode of the Crackless Musecast. I've definitely used Musecast before, but it's a good one.
Yeah.
Episode 21.
Yeah.
Episode 21.
Yeah. The Roaring 20s.
I'm Ben. Today I'm Ben Lethal Aid D'Alessio. This is my new favorite political term.
Yeah.
That the government is using to send weapons and all that other fun stuff to the Ukraine.
Yeah.
But it has to be put in political correct lethal aid. It's my favorite. My new favorite term.
I'm Joe Space Garza.
Yep. What should we talk about today? A few things. I feel like a few things popped up today.
Yeah.
I think you and I are going to disagree on something here. I think that's what we should start with.
Okay. Are you talking about Event Horizon?
God damn it. No. Event, that terrible movie, which we have disagreed on that. It's not like we always agree on everything. We disagree on Joe's terrible taste in movies and my supreme taste. No, we're talking about, is it Mouse? I always pronounce it Mouse.
Yeah.
Just because I don't know, but Mouse.
Yeah.
I've never read it, and this is kind of my MO now. I don't read things, but I still give opinions on them on the podcast.
Yeah.
My style. I do remember as a kid though, like the symbol.
Yeah.
If you have read this, Joe.
No.
Oh, all right. Well, we're just far from the hip here. So if I understand correctly, it's about cats that are Nazis and mice that are Jews.
Yes.
Or right?
Yep.
And it's aimed at a teen audience, like young adult.
As far as I know, yeah.
Yeah, it's aimed like a young adult audience. I think it can be kind of graphic, though. It is, after all, resembling, the Holocaust.
Yep.
But like a lot of stories that are aimed at a younger audience, they make the characters animals to make it more interesting to a younger crowd.
Yep.
And why we bring this up, I don't know when it's from. It's from like the 90s.
I think it was published in the mid to late 80s, and that's when it won the Pulitzer Prize. In fact, it's the only graphic novel to win a Pulitzer Prize.
Is that? Oh, really? Watchmen didn't win a Pulitzer Prize?
No, it did not.
Oh. Anyway, okay, interesting. I didn't know that. That's your
it's probably one of the greatest graphic novels ever written since, I don't know, Dante's Inferno or something.
You haven't even read it.
I got one that's got pictures in it.
Does that picture? Well, actually, that's what got in trouble is the pictures, because a school board in Tennessee somewhere has banned it.
Yes. Apparently, it's not quite banned. It's what they did was they switched out the book for another book, or at least what they voted on was to switch out the book for another book about the Holocaust. And they said if we can't find a better substitute, then we'll go back to teaching Mouse. So it's
bad.
I know it's been kind of overblown.
They just changed the book. Yeah.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But here's the thing: I still want to pick on this school district a little bit.
Oh, let's do it. I love it. I love picking on school districts, whether they're hyper progressive or hyper conservative.
Yeah.
Go after them. Which one are they, by the way? It's Tennessee.
It's Tennessee.
Makes me want to think red, but
when you look at the reasons for why,
but the crits are everywhere now.
Yeah, but when you look at the reasons why they wanted to switch this book out, it looks like it's coming from the conservative side. Cool, we get to bash on the right for a change.
So it is coming from the conservative side.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah,
so the reasons why they're upset about this book is because of the vulgar language and inappropriate. I guess there's some nudity. And when you look at the nudity for this,
they're mice. They're animals.
If you've seen Tom and Jerry,
yeah.
I mean, like they I saw some of the images, and like there is a somewhat loose outline of male genitalia on the mice.
Okay.
But it's not enough. It's not human enough or detailed enough for it to be like, oh my god, my 13-year-old can't handle this. And this is for 8th graders too, so like 12, 13-year-olds. So this isn't like, oh, we don't want to teach 5-year-olds this. No, this is
sure
early teens.
Yeah, exactly what I would think it would be, like late middle school, early high school age.
Yeah. And they were offended by the use of the term. There are apparently 8 curse words, and one of the ones that they got the most upset about was goddamn, which makes me again think that this is coming more from the conservative side.
Right. Yeah. So we bash crits regularly on this podcast, rightfully so. But I do, I think we should point out, because they are the new craziness, the progressive, like renaming Abraham Lincoln schools and stuff like that. But there's still, and always has been, and still is, a conservative censorship campaign. It's just usually one, the left progressive crit side are in like major cities like Seattle and Portland and San Francisco and things like that, where the conservative side is almost always in like small red state, rural districts, so it doesn't get the attention. Right. And that doesn't mean it's not okay. That doesn't mean it's okay. So I think sometimes it does fly a little more under the radar now. Yeah. And as this is a very anti-censorship podcast, I think that is a absolute we can make. Not necessarily. I'm not a free speech absolutist. No one really is. But like, it's as close to an absolute, I think, as we're gonna make on this in this pod. It's still a problem. And especially for something like this, that's like, what's the message? Like the message is, especially so the message is obviously Holocaust bad, so good start. And especially in a time where there is a concern about a lack of Holocaust study, right?
Appreciate,
appreciation,
learning,
which is so weird to me. I think that's because of where I grew up. I grew up, maybe a third to a half of my high school was Jewish. We had Holocaust survivors speak at our school. Like they showed us their tattoos and everything. A big, I think it was even an 8th grade field trip. Like one of the big 8th grade field trips was the Holocaust Museum in DC. That was like a big thing, like an event. And so to me, to hear like there's growing, I don't know if it's Holocaust denial, but Holocaust ignorance. Throughout the United States, which has the 2nd largest Jewish population in the world, is so foreign to me. And you would think, and a lot of that is coming from now the left wing because of the stupid divide, the stupid Israel-Palestine divide, which both sides are right and wrong on things, and I don't think that's one of those things we can just take aside. It's not that simple. And it just surprised. So I'm kind of surprised by this. Is what I'm trying to get at. Is that
definitely, and it definitely reminds me a lot of what we're seeing with the woke left stuff, where they'll make a big deal about something. For example, like adding warning labels to Dumbo on the Disney Plus platform, where it's like, what good does that do?
Why'd they do that? The crows,
the racist depiction. Where the same thing here. It's sort of like, why does switching this book out for another book, like, what does that solve? Like,
why are the crows racist?
Because they were negative stereotypes of blacks.
But what'd they do? Like, they're birds.
And I don't know. Anyway, the point is, it's just sort of like, it's some sort of dumb virtue signaling thing where it's sort of like, like, what problem is this solving? Like, is anti-Semitism going to go down because we got rid of this book? Is racism going to go down because we put a warning label in front of Dumbo? I mean, Mouse has been around since the mid to late 80s, I believe, and it's sort of like, as far as I know, there's never been anyone who has been fucked up by that book. Like there have been no young people who went and shot up a school because they read this thing about cats and mice and the Holocaust.
Which shouldn't even be the standard anyway. Because because that does happen. The guy who shot Reagan, I forget his name, had a copy of Catcher in the Rye. We don't want that to be banned, and it happens all the time, right? The Columbine shooters had was it other books? I can't remember off the top of my head,
Yeah.
but they had so we don't even want that because that's just not how it works.
Right.
But yeah, the message, like again, this is getting to the same thing that we criticize the left so much about. It's like the message of Mouse is good. Like that's a good message. It's not a pro Holocaust book.
Right.
Which even in itself should be not censored to criticize it, right? If the view's out there, the view's out there. You have to criticize. If you hide it, it just grows and takes root in different populations. So we don't want that either, and that's really hard for people to grasp. But that's not what we're dealing with here. So it surprised me, and it sucks. But it doesn't sound like it is actually as bad as a lot of other. Like, can you get it? I don't know how much you looked into this. Can you like still get it in their library?
I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure like how extensive. It's definitely happening in the school district level. So I'm assuming that this is being applied to all the schools within the district, and not just one specific school. I mean, it's a very highly acclaimed book, so it's very easy to get. I see it at Barnes and Noble all the time, but I mean, it's
I remember it as a kid, and it's so funny to me. It's like you said, this book's been out for 30 years.
At least,
why now? Like, why? It's not new,
right?
So I don't know. Very, very strange to me.
A friend of mine on Twitter, he brought up a good point. He goes, "Yeah, like some swear words and some naked people. Like that was the worst part of the Holocaust. Like like that's the thing that we're freak out about. Like,
yeah.
I mean, because I mean, like it's that thing of like some bad words and a few mice penises. That's the thing that we're going to be offended by, but we're not going to be offended by Auschwitz and
did they call it Mauschwitz?
I'm not sure actually.
Did they call it Mauschwitz? I kind of hope they didn't.
Yeah,
that would be a little
on the nose. Yeah,
a little on the nose.
Well,
or Meowschwitz. It could be either Meowschwitz because it's cats.
No.
So actually, but that brings me back to why we disagree on this. I think this book should be banned because of the negative depiction of cats.
I think it deserves a few more Pulitzer,
which is wrong. For its negative depiction of cats. Cats are amazing and would never, if you personified cats, it would definitely not turn into little authoritarian dictators. Definitely not. I can't think of that's the last animal I would think that would do that.
I'm pretty sure the dogs would be depicted as like the Allied soldiers. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's
dogs would be Scandinavia.
I don't know anything about world history, but
no, dogs are great too. I grew up with dogs, but I'm a cat guy now.
Loser.
Did I see something about Mockingbird being removed?
That's happened before several times.
Definitely happened before, but I thought I saw it crop up again.
Oh, recently?
Like today.
Oh, not that I know of. Unless people are making comparisons to.
Yeah, I was gonna read it, and then I got distracted.
Oh.
So that has been banned for usually left wing, right? Or right wing, or is that both? That might get from both sides. Mockingbird gets spit roasted by both sides of the spectrum here.
Yeah, by the left because of the use of the N-word, and then by the right because of.
I'm not going to do a Hitler salute with my cat like Count Dankula. Luckily, though, I don't live in Scotland. If I did, I wouldn't get arrested. But it's in bad taste.
Hey, here we go. Jesse Single just tweeted this out today.
Yeah. Okay.
To Kill a Mockingbird was recently removed as a required text from a Washington state school system's curriculum for reasons that are just as dumb as what's going on in Tennessee. Yeah. This is all tribal. That's the only way people choose what to be mad about and how mad anyone can take a few isolated incidents and tell a scare story.
I'm assuming it's a left-wing thing, right?
I'm assuming so.
Washington State, yeah.
I'm looking at school districts, blah, blah, blah. Most likely. Here, I got the article here.
It's good radio.
District committee criticizes the book's language and says the way it handles race issues is problematic. Okay, it's from the left.
Yeah, it's problematic. What's the right-wing equivalent of problematic? Because they're definitely not using that term, but they're doing the same thing.
I don't know, unpatriotic, maybe?
No, that's too specific. That definitely is a thing, but it's not the
I
equivalent.
don't know, communist or socialist.
No, too specific. Problematic.
I don't know. They're using that term. They're using
Obscene?
those terms.
Obscene.
Yeah,
I feel like
probably
that was
Yeah.
a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Mockingbird, which in 2018 PBS did the Great American Read. I think we've talked about this on episode, and it was the 100 most popular books in America. It was like a big. I voted in it. I voted for, because you couldn't just pick any book. There was a long list.
Yeah.
I voted for I think Confederacy of Dunces on there, and that was somewhere in the middle, maybe in the late 70s or something, the 70s or something. Can't remember exactly. But Mockingbird won. Like it was literally the most popular book in America. Now their retort would be, well, yeah, because America's a racist country. Right. But that's not why people like it. Again, the message is anti-racism. God, I just can't believe I used that term. It's against racism. For the record, I just saw last month, I saw Mockingbird on Broadway. Yes, Pinky Out on Broadway with Jeff Daniels, and it was fantastic. It was an amazing performance all around. Highly recommend it. To go see it on Broadway. It was a lovely experience.
I hate musicals, so
not a musical, just a play.
Play. I hate plays.
All right, well, it's not for you then.
No.
How do you not like theater?
I know, yeah. It's because maybe it's because it's so over the top. Like it's not just like, hi honey, where's this thing? It's like, hi honey, where can I go to blah blah blah. And it's just like, it's just so
it's on stage.
I know. Just put a camera there and then I'll watch it. I'll watch the tape later.
You're such a film. No, I was gonna say a film, like a derogatory term for film person, but I love movies too. I actually think the theater is going to be better off than movies, though.
Yeah, why?
Because of theaters. Because look at because there will always be a thirst for something that's live and in person. Right. I think that will always. We've been doing it since the Greeks, since the ancient Greeks. Where movies. So I should walk that back a second. It's not that movies will stop existing in movie theaters, but they'll just become the next Marvel, the next, whatever that movie's. Look at The Last Duel, a movie I watched recently and I wrote a review of. It was a great movie. It was a really fucking good movie, and it bombed at the box office. Because it's right up my alley. Medieval, legal, violent, sex sex-centered movie in France. Like I said, I love France, just like French, and it bombed. So we talked about this 2-3 episodes ago about how these movies are going to stop getting made if they're not making money. And people are just going to focus on the next superhero thing or the next whatever else makes blockbusters, which now are basically just superhero movies, which has a mark, which is great. We talked about that. We're pro that, but we don't want to be only that. So that's why I think artistically theater will be better off.
I mean, The Last Duel probably would have done better at the box office if at like they had like an end credits scene where it's like the Three Musketeers show up or something, and there's going to be a team up or something. Like
hundreds of years apart, like 400-year difference there. But yeah, you're right. You're not a history guy.
Or maybe Zorro pops in for a minute, and it's like, oh, okay, I got to see that movie now.
Isn't Zorro Mexico?
Yeah, I'm just thinking of anything before like
that's close.
1989. Yeah.
What
speaking of, I know we didn't discuss it before, but did you hear about Robert Rodriguez's female non-binary Zorro reboot for the CW?
No, I don't want to. Robert Rodriguez is doing that?
Yeah.
Oh.
Hold on, let me educate myself on this real quick. No, because there's something very specific. But I want to get this right. Robert Rodriguez, Zorro. Oh yes. Yes. Here it is. Okay. Here's the thing. Robert and Rebecca Rodriguez. Rebecca is a sister. I believe she's an editor. Are bringing Zorro to the CW. And here's the description. The official description so far: a young Latinx woman seeking vengeance for her father's murder joins a secret society. But Latinx woman, like, doesn't that?
Like, so it's not a This is Latinx.
Yeah. Latinx
Yeah,
woman. Like, don't those two kind of contradict each other? Like,
no.
because woman's real, Latinx is not. But also, Latinx means means like you're not
Gender
male or
neutral.
female. Yeah. A
Well,
gender neutral woman.
I don't know. I don't want to have this conversation today. I don't want to do this today. I want to take off the episode of Latinx talk.
No,
It's
Latinx.
dumb.
Yeah.
It's dumb.
Yeah.
And I don't like it.
Yeah.
But I don't want to talk about it today. So sign up for our Patreon and we'll just do an episode for we'll do a Latinx episode.
Yeah. As soon as we set up
Does
a
this
Patreon.
offend you as a Latino?
No, I don't really care.
Speaking of white Hispanics,
What?
did you see? I swear to God, did you see? I actually made a note of it, but I left it. I left it upstairs. Who Ziegler? What's her first name? The one who's in West Side Story, who's Maria in West Side Story. I forget her name, but she's Latinx, Puerto Rican girl, and she used the term "white Latina" today, not white Latinx.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's today, but I saw this in the Peter Dinklage thing that we want to talk about today.
Oh, okay.
This episode. Yeah, and she's of course because she was getting flack for not being, I guess, dark enough. I don't know. Having a German-ish last name. We've talked about how the Caribbean, Central South America are extremely diverse places,
Yes.
and not everyone looks the same. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
But and she talked about her privilege as a white Latina, and I was like, here we go. No, I think it's fine. No, I actually think it's fine. I like this, and here's why. Talked about last episode. I like people thinking differently. I don't like people put in huge groups. Latinos, Latinas, Hispanics, everyone put them. First of all, those mean different things.
Right.
And they're diverse. And I think the more you break it up, the less group think you get, and the less politicians try to just put you in boxes. Latinos in Houston and Latinos in LA and Latinos in New York, Dominicans in New York and Mexicans in LA and Salvadorans in Virginia are different. And even within those communities, they're different. And I like that there's more celebration and making your identity more finite, because that makes it harder for these lizards to put people in boxes. So just want to tell you that you have you have a white Latina sister, and I should know her first name. I don't. Rachel Ziegler? That sounds so not Puerto Rican, and I know I'm hypocritical there. Sounds
I'm
like
looking
a
up
girl I went to high school with.
Here we go. White
Latina.
Latina.
It is Rachel Ziegler. Yeah, it sounds like a girl from my hometown. Anyway, but she's from New Jersey. Oh shit. Okay, not where I'm from. Anyway, we're doing too much like looking shit up this episode.
I know.
Okay, let's talk about Peter Dinklage and Snow White.
Okay, yeah. All right. So because Disney is completely out of ideas, and because apparently they don't have enough money to hire like actual writers with ideas,
Right.
but
I don't mean to cut you off. I do want to say, Disney, if you're listening, I will write whatever you want for $500,000. That's it.
Now, when you first joined the WGA, yeah, you expect around 30 grand.
All right, 30 grand. All right.
After taxes, probably more like 19 grand.
19 grand. I'll do it. I will write something original. All right, sorry. Go ahead.
So Disney is remaking all of their classic animated films, and the next one on the hopper is Snow White. And Peter Dinklage, who's a little person, was really bothered by this, and he was on the Mark Maron podcast, and I'll bring up his quote here. Literally, no offense to anyone, but I was a little taken aback when they were so proud to cast a Latina actress as Snow White, but you're still telling the story of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Dinklage said. Take a step back and look at what you're doing here. It makes no sense. You're progressive in one way, but then you're still making that fucking backward story about 7 dwarves living in a cave together. What the fuck are you doing, man? Have I done nothing to advance the cause from my soapbox? I guess I'm not loud enough. Oh, jeez. I don't know which studio that is, but they were so proud of it. All love and respect to the actress and the people who thought they were doing the right thing. But I'm just like, what are you doing? So
what do you? So this, I was looking into this. I think this one is a little tougher actually than most kind of Hollywood neo-lib progressive whatever complaints. I do think this needs more grace, and because I've heard him, he is very outspoken because he's probably the most recognizable is dwarf, right? Is dwarf the right term? Dwarfism?
I thought it was little
person.
Yeah.
Okay. Little person. And but after Game of Thrones, I think there were more popular ones, but after Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And he makes this point where it's like it is one of the few groups or types of people that kind of do still get made fun of for what they are.
Right.
I think there's some truth to that, where they're just the punchline. They're always there for the comedic relief of who they are.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think there is truth to that. Now, that doesn't... So you bring Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which it was a cartoon, right? It was animated.
Yeah.
And I read an op-ed in The Guardian, which I know that's not a good track record.
Yeah.
But I thought this one was more interesting. It was by another little person, an actress. I should know her name. I can't remember it. But she said, because of the animation, there was a kind of, first of all, the time, this is mainly the 30s, right? Like the 1930s.
Yeah.
And so it's old, right? It's classic. And I like the idea of not scrubbing that. That's a good start, to be honest.
Right.
I can't believe I have to say that, but the good start is that they're not saying not only can you not remake it, we have to censor the old one too.
Right.
So we're not starting there. That's nice. But then it's animated and it does have that degree of separation. So to remake it in live action, I don't know. Do you just not make it? I don't think that's right.
So my issue here is, unless he talked to people who are involved with making the movie, as far as I can tell, he knows nothing about how they're going to handle it.
Sure.
So it seems like just the fact that they're remaking the story seems to bother him, and it's like, okay, but hold on, watch, let's see a trailer come out, let's see who's working on the film, maybe, because I agree with you, at least to an extent, about how little people are portrayed in movies. They're still they're never really seen as sort of you're just a person. It's always you're a little person, you're gonna be
off the top of my head, Oompa Loompas, right?
Right.
They were slaves, but they were also they were comedic in a way. The little people in Wolf of Wall Street comes to mind.
Right. But here's the other thing, though. It's a fantasy. You could just make them magical, whimsical creatures.
And this op-ed mentions that. They say, for instance, why that's totally cool with the hobbits and the dwarves and the what's Gimli?
I thought he was an elf.
No, Gimli's not an elf. That's
Legolas.
Legolas was an elf. Aren't we talking about Lord of the Rings this episode?
Yeah, we are actually.
Well, I thought he was a dwarf.
Yeah, he is a dwarf. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, he's a dwarf. Yeah. So it is different because that is a fantasy, and they're strong characters, they're heroes and things like that.
Yeah.
But so is Snow White, like you're saying, Snow White's fancy too. There's the witch, and that's not the dragon, right? That's Cinderella. But there's other fantastical elements.
Right.
So this is one of those ones I think does deserve a conversation and make sure it's done well, because I do think this is more than just casting some color or some gender or whatever. It's that like
Right.
I do feel like I kind of get his knee-jerk reaction,
Sure.
but I also have my own knee-jerk reaction to someone saying don't make art. Like don't.
Right.
Now, I don't think they should remake it because I just can't stand all the remakes and it's
Yeah, I know.
probably
Yeah,
gonna suck.
yeah.
But
that is a separate conversation.
yeah,
but
it's a separate
I agree,
conversation.
Yeah.
Just put that money into making something original.
Yeah.
But I don't know. How do you do it where because are the dwarves in Snow White, they're actually like not offensive. They're not punchlines. They have their own. They each have an emotion. That's what they're named after.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
the opposite of what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I'm literally thinking this out in real time.
Yeah.
I'm having this conversation in my head.
That's fine. There's plenty of material
We'll just
for us
cut
to get
this.
canceled.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but I mean, like, yeah, I mean, like, it's a fantasy. Like, these are magical creatures. Like, it's not like, we're doing a modern take. This is Snow White in Manhattan in 2022, and she just happens to be living with little people, and we're just sort of like
the dwarves take Williamsburg.
Right.
I couldn't do the neighborhood.
And it seems like no matter what Disney does, they're gonna get a ton of shit for it.
Sure.
So if you cast little people, like actual little people play the dwarves, then it's sort of like, hey, how come you're casting the little guy to play the little?
Oh.
Or you just do it all to CG.
I can tell you what they should not do. What they definitely should not do is cast non-little people to play the dwarves. That I can already tell you would not fly.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely
or we take
little people.
Regular sized human beings and then digitally shrink them, or just do
do
completely
not
animated.
do that. Don't do that.
Well, they did it with Patton Oswalt in a Marvel movie.
What was he?
He was I forgot what his name. Pip. He was a troll. Pip the troll. But
okay, okay, trolls are different. Trolls can be. No, I'm serious. I'm serious.
Splitting hairs now.
Trolls can be like gigantic. Like no, you're right. We are splitting hairs. You're right. And this is why I'm thinking this out in real time.
Yeah.
Like, should they have? I don't know though. If you hire a little person, cast a little person as a troll, is that not in itself a negative kind of stereotype? This is very tricky.
I know. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think Peter Dinklage is right when it comes to many other roles. I'm not saying he's wrong here. My only thing is we don't know how they're going to be depicted here yet. It can be done in a way where it's like, okay, like it's fun and whimsical. It's not meant to be real, so we don't need to take it too seriously. Or we can watch and be like, this is kind of a gross stereotype. They could have handled this with a little more.
What if it's just okay? What if it's just a almost shot for shot remake like Lion King? Like Lion King was very, very similar,
right,
to
the animated one. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was still animated though. Like those weren't real animals. It was just CGI. Yeah. So what if it was a combination of CGI and live action? Because there are humans. I would assume that they're going to use real humans. Cast all dwarf actors, which would be great, right? Yeah. That'd be a great thing. That's 7 roles right there. There's 7 dwarves. Yeah. And it's just a shot for shot remake, let's say.
Yeah.
What is that a problem or is that okay?
I mean, would it be a problem to cast little people in the role of dwarves?
I wouldn't think so. I don't know.
I can see it being a problem to other people. I can see that being sort of like, why are you casting? Like it's like this is probably not the best example. This is the first one that comes to mind. Is it that junk dealer guy in Star Wars, the Phantom Menace, and they gave him like a Jewish accent? Yeah. Wado? Where it's sort of like, hey, why'd you give nose? Why'd you give like the greedy guy a Jewish accent?
I didn't know about that. I always personally thought that was a stretch. I know people are very sensitive about Jewish stereotypes.
But you see what I mean, though, where it's like the character is kind of a caricature, and then you cast a member of that group who's being caricatured as that thing. Is that being offensive?
Wado's not Jewish. He's not a human.
I know that. I'm saying like where the character is. I know, Ben, but I'm saying like.
Okay.
Where it's like he can be like just without the voice, he can be seen as a Jewish stereotype because he's greedy and blah blah blah. And then they gave him a Jewish accent. It's like, well, that people were offended by that. And I'm saying dwarves, is that offensive because like you're casting little people to play fictional little characters? Like, is that like I can see people being offended by it. I'm not saying that it is offensive, but I could see it.
I see what you're saying here.
Yeah.
Okay. I was looking at this more as it would be more offensive to not cast them because it's literally called dwarfism.
Yeah.
Like they're dwarves. So I thought that would be a good thing.
Right.
For representation. Like, this is me here saying for
Yeah.
representation, right? I don't say this often.
Yeah.
But now I kind of see what you're saying.
Right.
It would be more offensive to cast little people as dwarves. Oh, fuck. That's this is quite the conundrum. Because I do know, I legitimately see the criticisms from
multiple sides.
Both sides, multiple sides. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they shouldn't make this movie. I don't know. I honestly don't know if they should make this movie now because, like, it's probably not going to be very good.
Right. Exactly.
Like, it's going to get attention because of this.
Yeah.
No one is yearning for a Snow White remake. It's like it's really fucking boring. Snow White is not an interesting story. Right? Like it's just not. What even happens in it? There's the creepy witch with the apple.
Yeah.
And the dwarves who help and like birds and shit, like helping with clean the room. What happens in Snow White?
Does that one have an apple in it?
Yeah, the apple.
Yeah.
That's it. Like Cinderella has the dragon and the mirror on the wall, and the prince who kisses, kind of rapey. And what does Snow White have? And maybe I'm being unfair. I don't think she's hot either. Like she's very not hot for a princess.
That's true. Yeah.
Like give me a break with that. Yeah. Like she's not very attractive. So minus points there.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is a really good. So I want them to make this movie really badly now, just so we have content to deal with the fallout. Because I think no matter what happens, this is not going to go well.
I know. Either way, it's going to be like a cultural grenade. Like people are just going to blow up, and then people are going to freak out. Or if they just say, it's just going to be called Snow White. It's not even. We're not going to include dwarves. It's like, well, then what about the dwarf? We need little people. It's like, okay,
exactly.
We'll put them in.
Erasing.
Yeah, but there's okay, we're going to put them in,
group.
and we're going to. It's like, okay, but now there's just stereotypes of little people. It's like, okay, well, it's just like. I don't know how Disney can do it without pissing off a bunch of, even if they do a super faithful adaptation of it, it'll piss off some people, and then if they deviate, then it'll piss off the purists, and it's just
I'm sorry. Can I need a second? I mean, my cat took a huge dump. The litter box is right back there. It smells so bad. I've been like trying. I thought it would go away. I just need a spray.
No,
it'll take me 5 seconds.
No, you gotta stay.
Disgusting.
You gotta stay.
Just talk about something.
All right. So this is going to be a very fantasy forward episode.
This is terrible.
Oh God, Ben. Yeah, he's Ben's cut from the show.
Really gross.
His last
I don't know
episode.
who it was, but
he's dead weight, and I think I'll have much more charisma to show on display as a solo host of the. Oh, hey, okay, cool, yeah, Cinderella, yeah, Snow White.
were you proud? I love when that happens, and then I go back and I listen. I hear what you actually said when I go to the bathroom or go to get a drink or something.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that was probably one of our first real genuine conversations.
Yeah.
About something in the art world that we discuss. Yeah.
Because all these other ones, they've been very practiced and rehearsed and scripted.
No, not that, but just we already kind of know what we're going to say.
We're going into this kind of blind. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's actually, I think it's legitimately a good question, a good artistic and business question.
Did you know that they made a horror remake of this? It was a TV movie back in the 90s, and Sigourney Weaver played the Wicked Witch lady. I think it's called Snow White: A Tale of Terror or something like that.
Yeah, 90s were wild.
Yeah, and I think it was a made for TV or like an HBO or a Showtime thing.
Gritty. There's always a mark for a gritty remake.
Yeah.
All right. What else did we have on the docket? I actually have some notes. I'll show my post-it note to prove that I actually have some notes.
Hey.
Okay, you want to talk about Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, let's do Lord of the Rings.
Are you a Lord of the Rings fan?
Yeah, I like the original. I even watched the extended ones, which I really enjoyed.
Of course, director's cut, baby.
Yeah. And then I only watched the first 2 Hobbit movies. I never got around to watching the third one. I should check it out. But
no, you don't.
Yeah, I don't need to.
Don't. The first one is okay. Like it's fine. I like smoke. I was thinking about getting a smoke tattoo actually. That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
I mean, because I am fire, I am death. But I think, have you seen that? I don't even know if it's Cumberbatch doing smoke. I don't know exactly what he's doing, but it's the meme where it's like, mom, like go play with the neighbor kid. It's like the neighbor kid. It's him like crawling on the ground in the mocap type outfit. He's like, I don't know. It reminded me of him doing smoke. I don't know what he's actually doing. He's like, I am fire. Like this. I don't know if that's him. He might do a totally different role. That's what it reminded me of. So yeah, Lord of the Rings. About the movies. First of all, they're amazing. One of the best trilogies. What I really love about it is that arguably the third one is the best. Would you agree with that?
It's been a long time since I watched them, but probably, yeah.
It won 11 Oscars.
Yeah.
Which is
tied with only Ben-Hur and Titanic, I think, and maybe one other movie.
Did Titanic win that many?
Yes.
Yeah. No, like acting roles, I don't think, but still, it might be my favorite, which is rare because usually the third of a trilogy isn't the best, like ever.
Yeah.
I can't. If someone knows a trilogy or the third is the best, let us know.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Is that
the third
Turtles
one.
in Time?
Yeah, Turtles in Time.
Is that when they go to Japan?
Cool. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
No, it's not a good movie. I grew up. My brother, we were gigantic Ninja Turtles fans.
Yeah.
And we didn't even like that. We didn't even like that one. I love Japan and I love the Ninja Turtles, and I was like, guys, not doing it for me.
It's got everything in it, dude.
I know it's got everything. Sometimes everything isn't enough. So There's
no Japan in Return of the King.
No, there's not.
No,
but
so.
Still an excellent movie.
All right, and we're live. Sorry everyone we had some technical difficulties, but we're back. 3 days older.
Yeah. So there was technical difficulties on my end. I don't know. Sometimes Verizon just like sucks over here. Like it went down today just randomly. But anyway, so I lost an AirPod today, which I did not realize was as detrimental as I thought it would be.
I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, I did not realize how expensive they were. The other ones were a gift. And now I'm looking at the prices and I'm not buying those again. One, because I'm surprised I kept them for as long as I did without losing them. I don't know. Like if they had a wire, I wouldn't have lost them. It's just fucking annoying. So I'm gonna buy these. I hope they're good, but they're cheap, and I'm okay with that. So I'm gonna buy them right now.
My most sarcastic condolences. And it's such a first world problem. Like
it is. It is. I know, but this is good radio, right? I'm buying shit.
Yeah. In front of us right now,
as we speak.
So I was just hanging out with Alma today. Our good friend Alma Cook. Yeah.
She was a friend of the pod.
Yeah.
How's she doing?
She's doing good.
Still Catholic?
Still Catholic.
Oh, okay, good for her.
So she's still doing that. Well, sort of. She's actually non-denominational, but her soon-to-be husband is Catholic. Yeah.
Oh, I thought she dove right in.
She's reading a lot of stuff on Catholicism, and so she's I don't know exactly if she's going to go full all the way in, but either way, I hope God is with her. Speaking of God, though, so I was watching. So me and my roommate Jim, we were watching. I swear this is actually a very good segue. We were watching a horror movie last night called Antlers. It came out.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
It's about the Wendigo thing. It's okay. It had some cool parts. Oh, I was
Who's in that? Who's in that? Antlers.
Nobody famous, but Guillermo del Toro did produce it.
Maybe that's what I heard. It's not an A24 movie, is it?
No.
Okay.
But anyway, we were. I mean, the movie wasn't great. We loved the cinematography and it had some cool moments, but it was just kind of a straightforward creature feature. But we had a good time laughing. There's this one line of dialogue. There's some cheesy dialogue. There's this one line of dialogue where a cop has just found a corpse that's just been mutilated in the forest, and he's telling his sister about it. And he goes, "Yeah, we found this corpse, and poor so and so, and yeah, he was ripped up pretty bad." And she goes, "Oh, Jesus." And he goes, "Jesus had nothing to do with this." so like every time somebody would say Jesus as an expression of like, "Oh, Jesus Christ," and then, like I would turn to Jim, I'd be like, "Oh, didn't I tell you Jesus isn't here?" Like I keep telling you.
Yeah, it's good. Was it like satirical, or is it genuine?
It was pretty genuine. It took itself pretty seriously.
Jesus had nothing to do with this.
Or Jesus wasn't there when that crime happened, or something like that. It was just like, first of all, we've heard that line so many times. So every time somebody would say Jesus, I just like, "Oh, Jesus isn't here. Remember, I told you, Jesus is not here right now."
Yeah, that's good. Was it a good movie overall, or no?
It was okay. I'd probably give it like a 5 out of 10. Like it was reasonably well made, but it was very predictable. It's basically a monster on the loose movie. This wasn't particularly great, but it was entertaining. It was okay. But getting back to Alma, she's gonna be releasing some music soon, so we should have her on the podcast again sometime in the next couple of months. So
Alma's a good hang.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Anthony and Brother Nate.
Yeah, exactly.
Brother Nate.
Actually, Anthony, so on that podcast that we were on his, he was talking about potentially us going to Austin, Texas to record a live episode.
Hells yeah.
Yeah, which is great. I love Austin. So, I mean, that was kind of...
Have you been?
I've been before, yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Yeah. I've not. I have family there, actually. Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah. So we should, probably think about doing a live TRM thing this time in the South.
I think that could be very fun.
Yeah.
And then we could do a East Coast one day.
Nah, I don't think that's in the works. I don't think.
Oh, I wasn't saying at my house. I'm not letting you in my house. You're Mexican. I'm not letting you in my house.
I'll do some landscaping. I'll do some gardening.
You can do some. You said that, by the way, not me. For the record, my landscapers are white guys. So
really,
yes,
must be pretty bad then. I'm telling you, you gotta hire your landscapers at Home Depot. Like, you gotta go to the Home Depot parking lot. Like
in South Jersey they're still white.
Oh really?
So we still have white landscapers. Yeah.
Bummer, man.
Very traditional. Bummer, man.
I'm sorry to hear that. But anyway, we got some crazy shit to talk about. Spotify.
Yeah, I think So I think we had something else to talk about. And
Lord of the Rings, the new show on Amazon.
We kind of started. We can talk about that later. I don't know. It's not as
timely.
It's not timely. Let's talk about the craziness that is Spotify, because, like, I would say, like, everyone knows Joe Rogan's like number one, right? Yeah. Like, we all know that. Yeah. We're not that far below him.
Yeah.
And we're on Spotify.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
And we're not that far below him.
Right. Yeah.
In terms of
just being on the same platform?
Yeah, just same platform. So this is important to us, because I don't want Phil Collins removing his music from Spotify because of something I said on this podcast. No, I'm joking. Of course, these people are idiots.
I really like that Tarzan soundtrack.
It's so... he did Tarzan? Was that?
Yeah, the Disney animated one. Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll be in my heart. Yeah, he did that.
Well, everyone pretty much knows, or I think people who would listen to our podcast know what's going on, but it started with Neil Young, who I thought was dead, or was Neil Diamond. And at first I was dead, then I thought it was Neil Diamond, and I realized it's neither of those things. So
I thought you were a corpse, and I thought you were another dude. No, you're you.
Yeah. And he's taking his music down from Spotify. And it sounded like he didn't mean to do it. He sent like a letter that got to Spotify.
Yeah.
Which then Spotify was like, all right, fine, fuck you. We'll take your music down. And then some other artists have followed suit, like Joni Mitchell, who I actually do like.
Yeah.
I like some of her music. She was one of those, singers who went full California, as we'd
Yeah.
like to say. So
Yeah.
I think she was like Canadian, and then went to it was like part of that California Valley
Yeah.
sound or Canyon sound or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And really great singer, beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful stuff. But fuck her if she's gonna be doing this shit, because these
Seriously.
people were like counterculture, 60s and 70s, stick it to the man, free speech. Like Neil Young, especially, he was very much a part of the like anti-war, anti-Iraq war, Bush. I mean,
Yeah.
probably Vietnam too, but I mean more recently.
Yeah.
And I think he had a tour called like the Free Speech Tour or something. Because as we talk about, there used to be a big right-wing movement for not PC culture, but not saying the right thing, like freedom fries and like patriotic this,
Dixie
and
Chicks, yeah,
freedom that, and and he was against all of that, rightfully so. So now when he's coming out, and of course, and obviously, if you don't know, this is all about COVID stuff, right? This isn't like Joe Rogan said something about a minority group or anything like that. It was like, this is COVID shit that misinformation is one of the most misused words now. It's kind of like the new fascist or Nazi or white supremacist or whatever. It's like entering that territory. And he's taking it down for that, which like is so dumb, because Joe Rogan is just having people on and discussing things and different perspectives, and he has people on who totally disagree with him, and his views change, and that's why he's so fucking popular. Like I don't like, how do these other sources not get it? Like he's so popular because he does this, because he's genuinely interested in stuff, doesn't have an agenda, and he does have opinions, and when he sees evidence to the contrary, he'll change those opinions. Or sometimes opinions, it's not always evidence-based, sometimes it's just argument-based. And that happened on one of his shows with, I like personally, I don't know why he would have an Australian on his show. I know we have a strict no Australian policy, but he did. And and he did push back on him. And unlike, and in Joe's show, he has a assistant who can just pull stuff up like in the moment. And there was
Rick.
Yeah, really, Rick. What the fuck, dude? And he found something that refuted what Joe said, and then there was a good, like, basically it was what people want, like back and forth debate, evidence, facts, and sometimes it's not just facts, it's opinion and experience, like all that's part of it, and that's why it's so popular. And it's not 5-minute segments, it's 3 hours long. And these idiots, like, they think that everyone who listens to the podcast is gonna like take up whatever, like he's not preaching anything. He's not like, I listen to probably 75% of his episodes. I'm vaccinated. Like, and got boosted. Like I did that more because of my job, but like I'm it's not a big deal. I'm more against mandates and vaccine passports and shit like that. And it's like, he didn't sway me on anything. Like, if anything,
you didn't become a right-wing conspiracy theorist. And
no, I was that already.
So I saw this funny tweet somebody put out. It was like, I don't know why so many women hate Joe Rogan so much, because he's literally teaching men how to sit and listen for nonstop for 3 hours. I mean, I should say feminist, but this is what the tweet said. It was like, he's literally training women. He's training men how to sit down and listen for 3 hours straight. Like, really. So, he's actually helping men. Like, I don't like.
And what's so, like, you know, what's so beautiful about his show, and that's what, like, this is like what capitalism is. Once you become successful, you just capitalize on that success, right? You get more famous people on, and you have a better choice of who you want to have on. And he has people from all over, whether the political spectrum or apolitical or whatever it is, athletes, doctors, scientists, authors, actors, like everything. And like, I listen to the show, I'm like, where are they getting this? Like, that's what I don't get. It's like, where are they getting these things? Because they're just opinions. Like, it's just someone else has an opinion, and sometimes he pushes back, sometimes he's persuaded by it, but like, so what? Like, what does that have to do with what's going on like in the country? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. And I think it's more people are afraid that he's successful.
And Joe's admitted numerous times, I should say admitted, but he's said numerous times, he's never voted right wing. He's a pretty progressive guy. He said he's even said like other than guns, because he likes to hunt. Because other than guns, I'm pretty progressive like the whole way. So he's not a right wing conspiracy theorist, but because he entertains people who maybe are kind of on the fringe a little bit, it's like that's enough to bother them. It's insane. It's
I don't know if it's even like right wing, left wing. It's
yeah.
because leftist people get canceled and progressives who don't. It's if you don't fit the narrative.
Exactly.
The center left corporate Democrat narrative. That's what it is. So because there are leftist people who get silenced, get canceled, who I have a lot of sympathies with, who I agree with on a lot of stuff, and they get it too. So it's people who are moderates or right wing or center left. It doesn't really matter because we were talking about before, I forget if it was last episode or just like the first half of this episode, where it was like the left wing overall, like the Democrat side, they're so exclusive that if you agree with them on 9 opinions or issues, but the 10th you don't, then you're an outcast.
Exactly.
Where on the right wing, it's almost the opposite. It almost feels like an exact opposite, where you could disagree with nine things, but if you
care about liberty and freedom,
the 10th issue, like they'll welcome you more or less. Of course, there are extremes there too.
Sure.
But that's what it feels like, and that's what's going on with because the corporate media is left wing. It's liberal. The president is liberal. He's a Democrat, and Hollywood and big music and pharma, like Wall Street. These are all overwhelmingly Democrat left-leaning institutions now. They didn't always used to be. And when you start pushing back against their narrative, they're gonna use their full force and attack you. And so bringing this full circle to why we started on this topic, it's like people like Neil Young and Joni Mitchell. These people were like fighting against this shit, fighting against Wall Street and like pharmaceutical companies, and now they want to silence someone. They want to censor someone. Like it's honestly, it's like depressing. It's fucking depressing that these are the kinds of people who, like, sometimes these were the only voices who were standing up, and they put themselves in real danger. And now they want to censor someone. That's so disturbing to me.
No, absolutely. And so are you familiar with Kat Rosenfeld or Kat Rosenfeld?
Yeah. I actually I have her book on my list of books to get.
She's a great follow. She's a left of center person, but she's also like she criticizes a lot of woke stuff, but she does it in a way where she's not like, she doesn't come off like a reactionary right wing person. But anyway, she made, and I'm not saying that this is like scientifically accurate or anything like that, but she put out a poll on Twitter saying, how many of you Joe Rogan listeners are vaccinated? And 85, and exactly. And 85% right now with 3,000 votes, 85% of them are vaccinated. And it's sort of like
it was more. I'm in that percentage. It was like, it wasn't just that. It was, are you vaccinated, and did like his stances or views persuade you one way? It was something like that.
Yeah.
It was like vaccinated, non, and like, did they persuade you one way or the other? So the critics would say, if it was unvaccinated and then Rogan's podcast convinced you to be that, right? That's what they would think the 85% is, but it's not. It's, I don't know what it is. I haven't checked that, but I did vote in that poll, and I am in that, like, vaccinated. And I listed, it's like, because it's only to listeners. So it's like those are the only people who should be voting to keep it as accurate as possible. So it's vaccinated, and no, he didn't persuade me one way or the other. If they were saying you should go get vaccinated, I'm not persuaded in that way. It doesn't take one source to get me to do something like that.
Exactly.
So it's all, to be honestly, it's hysteria. Like, this is a hysteria. They'll take one clip or one conversation, like a clip of a conversation, because the whole podcast is a conversation, and that without context, and use that as their proof. And I would just love to see, like, I would honestly like to ask all these people who are criticizing, like, do you actually listen to the show? I'm not saying you have to listen to all 3 hours of it, but like, do you listen to 2/3 of it? Do you listen to half of it? Or do you just listen to not only the clip, but like the clip with the editorializing from whatever source, like CNN or whatever source you're getting it from? And now I'm going to continue that just for another 10 seconds here and saying, like, who the fuck do these people think they are, as in the media, who has lied to us about every war, bailing out Wall Street, healthcare, are voting, and I mean all sides here,
Yeah,
but of course
yeah.
here it's more the CNN, MSNBC left side.
Sure,
Who do you, the New York Times, the Washington Post, LA Times, who have just lied about everything, who have given the least generous and charitable interpretations of things, who lied about the Great Awakening and things like people not knowing that Kyle Rittenhouse's victims were white, or that Jacob Blake wasn't committing a crime when he got shot, and he like all they do honestly, it's the two best examples are the fiery but mostly peaceful protests, and the racism is the real virus.
Yes.
Though, like, you have shit like that, and you have the nerve to come out and start acting like you're an authority on who should have the right to speak.
Yeah.
It's so like I'm sorry, it makes my fucking blood boil.
Right.
Because if there was a competing podcast that had a that was also just politically different, but also giving the facts and talking to different people and just kind of had different opinions on evidence and stuff like that, that's fine. That, I would listen to that and be like legitimate criticism. But these lizard monsters have no right to start trying to censor someone when they have lost all credibility. In fact, the reason that people like Joe Rogan and other podcasts in the quote unquote heterodox sphere are so popular is because you've lost all credibility, and people like listening to shit and getting information from somewhere. And we've left these mainstream outlets. And the last thing I'll say, my personal experience, I've talked about this, my personal kind of healthy, which thank God, like healthy skepticism of the media came with the Covington Catholic kids.
Yes.
I was one of those assholes who tweeted something snarky about like punching Nick Sandeman in the face and like something gay like that when I was like a big lefty progressive person. Yeah. And it was all a fucking lie.
Yeah.
All of it was a lie.
Yeah.
And that really got me to like start questioning everything.
Yes.
And got me to where I am now. And if you're listening to this, please stop taking everything at face value. These organizations want to divide and conquer. They want you to be hysterical, whether you're a right-wing Trump person or a left-wing like riding with Biden or Kamala Stan or whatever it is. Like they want violence. They want you to hate each other because it drives ratings. The best day that CNN has had in the last 2 or 3 years was January 6th of 2021. It was their highest ratings of all time, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but at least recently. The highest ratings they've ever had. They love this shit. They want you to be hysterical and scared and hate each other.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Getting heated.
No. no, I totally agree with you. And also the other thing I would add to your list there would be the thing of like during like the height of the pandemic, like summer 2020, when they were saying like if you attend a Trump rally, then you're attending a super spreader event. But if you participate in a Black Lives Matter protest, then that's fine. That's cool. It's like,
so
fuck off.
People,
like, shut the
so
fuck
many
up.
people stopped. Like that was a huge turning point for like lots of people. I hear it. It was like Bill de Blasio saying you can only attend protests for like racial purpose,
equity,
like,
or whatever.
Like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you like? These fucking losers who get into politics. Like, I hate politicians. If I didn't, I'd try and run it, but I just can't stand politics. And like these people, we learned these loser governors and mayors who are like the only people who give a shit about this stuff are like ended up having so much more power that we didn't realize. Like a lot of people didn't even know who the governor and mayors were, like just superficially. And then they're deciding what you can and cannot do, whether your business can exist, whether you can attend a protest or not, or enter a restaurant. It's so like, I don't know. I mean, in a way, it is starting to fall apart.
Yes.
I'm across the aisle and all over the political spectrum, issue to issue. I have very left-wing views, very right-wing views on some things, but like on the mandates and COVID lockdown, like the Democrats are wrong. Like they are wrong. They destroyed business and families and children. And this is one of the ones that like I could not see myself supporting them, or any of the ones that still are. It's more the very blue cities that are doing this. Some Democrat, like I think the Democrat governor of Colorado was like basically saying what DeSantis was saying. Like, we're going to protect our vulnerable. We're getting through this. We have other things. Like, so it's not all of them, but I mean, it is so fucking disturbing to me that
right.
that these lizards got all this power.
It's the leaders of the party. It's the ones who have the megaphones who are speaking for the whole movement there. Bill Maher was talking about this, and it's funny because Bill Maher is a lifelong liberal, progressive Democrat.
Yeah,
like he's like, I voted Republican a handful of times, but he's like 60 years old, so it's like, yeah,
he
like
voted Republican ever?
Yeah, a handful of times, like in the 90s.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
But that's the thing. It's just like 90% of the people he voted for were Democrats. He even donated $1 million to the Democratic Party.
To Obama. He gave Obama $1 million. Obama still didn't come on his fucking show.
Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah, but he's been getting a lot of support from the right and a lot of shit from the left.
Oh, perfect example, right?
Yeah,
I don't mean perfect example of what I'm saying is that someone like Bill Maher, who's extremely critical of, rightfully so, of Bush and Cheney and the Iraq War, and is still a liberal, Democrat, progressive, like all those things.
Yeah.
The right, why does the right embrace him? Because he's like not just following the narrative.
Yeah.
Like he's open to free speech and freedom of religion and all this stuff. And that's like, he is a really good example of what I'm saying is why the right is going to start winning. Like they're going to, like, for this reason, they're more accepting of people now.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, at the same time, the political pendulum will swing.
It
back and
always
forth.
Does.
So,
it does.
But that's why it's for me. It's funner to like not be part of any of that. It's like I'll agree with the liberals when they get something right, and I'll agree with the conservatives when they get something right.
That's what I am too. Like that's why I don't identify with the party.
We're both registered independents, so we're kind of like this Republican guy, he's actually making more sense than the Democratic guy, or vice versa. It's like well, whatever. It's like
oh yeah, absolutely.
It's,
allegiance to a party. Too many people put a letter next to their name, a D or an R, or even sometimes libertarians or green or whatever, and then you start to feel like you have to have certain views, or you're not that thing. It's like, no, that's okay. Like within parties, you can have different views.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think people are like, well, if I'm a Democrat, I actually have to believe this, even though I really don't. Like just it's okay to not agree with everything down party lines, and that's why. And actually, though, more people I think than ever are leaving parties. Like I think independents have grown extremely fast and large in the past few years, even,
which just warms my cockles to no end. I love it.
I'll withhold my vote. I did that in 2020, or I'll vote third party. I have no problems doing that. To be honest, if it's Trump Biden 2024, I'm probably voting third party or not voting for either.
Yeah,
like I will not vote unless Trump like really changes like a lot, which he fucking won't. Because I could not vote for Biden. I mean, he's gonna be dead by then anyway. But I would not vote for either of them right now. So I'll probably withhold my vote or vote third party. Yeah, I'm interested. Like part of me really gets disturbed when billionaires just think like, oh, I'm a billionaire, so I can be a politician. Like I kind of hate that.
Yeah.
That being said, I do like some of what I'm hearing from Mark Cuban.
Okay.
He's interested in UBI, which I'm a proponent of.
Yeah.
He's I think like not real into all the woke shit. Like he's more like we can solve this stuff by like getting people jobs and money and like which I believe in too.
Yeah.
More safety and jobs. I don't know. I don't know that much, but I think he's interested in Andrew Yang's Forward Party. Which I right now I really like what Andrew Yang's doing. Yeah. It's not necessarily the sexiest stuff, right? But I think when people learn about it, it does become like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Things like open primaries and ranked choice voting.
Right.
It takes power away from the most extreme of both sides.
Yes.
And it allows like other people to get involved in politics that usually wouldn't, which is great because just the quality of people that get involved in politics is so disturbing. That I would like to see that start to change too. Yeah.
It's an interesting time kind of being at this like weird changing point, but it's fun though. I mean, first of all, it's giving us a lot of content, so
yeah, it is. And also I don't want to overlook the fact like the media, corporate media was dying during the Obama presidency. It was boring. And the stuff that wasn't boring, they weren't necessarily covering, like Obama being the deadliest president of all time, just drone striking the shit out of the Middle East and Africa. And they didn't really he wasn't this super progressive president. Like he ran. He like the healthcare Obamacare was like not even really a success.
Yeah.
Like I guess a little better, but it didn't really accomplish what it set out to do.
Yeah.
And there was no scandal. And then Trump comes around, really like 2015, and the media globs onto him, and he's the greatest thing that ever happened to him. That's another reason why I never ever want to hear these blue check journalists start talking about like people voting against their self-interest. Like you all did. Trump was the best thing to happen in the corporate media since I don't know, the Iraq War. Like it was the best thing to happen to you, and you kicked him out. If you were smart, if you voted in your best economic interest, you would have voted for Trump and then still criticized him every day. And they did. So I can't stand that when they're obviously talking about like Trump supporters voting against their self-interest, like healthcare and shit like that.
Yeah.
But anyway.
This reminds me of a tweet from a guy, a writer for Politico, which is not a right-wing organization in any stretch. Like they're pretty left-wing. But he tweeted this thing out, and he got a ton of shit for it. But he was being sarcastic, but he was also correct. It was something like, and he was also quoting from a movie or something. But he was like, I think it was right after the 2020 election. Biden won, and he was just sort of like, you guys are happy that Biden won, but deep down inside, you wanted Trump to win. Like you're depressed that Trump didn't win, and people were shitting on him. He's like, no, but he's like, first of all, I'm quoting from some movie or TV show. Secondly, like I'm kind of, it's like, even if you hated Trump, he gave you a lot of stuff to write about. Like I don't know, like he was good business for you.
Absolutely. Oh my God, absolutely. It revived things like the New York Times and CNN. And because now Trump's out, they have to find a new boogeyman. And I think it's slowly just becoming Joe Rogan is trying to bring this full circle because he's not even like fucking right wing or whatever that means. I wouldn't say he's left wing either. I think he's like us in a way where it's just kind of issue by issue.
Yeah, exactly.
Like he's probably way more right wing on guns than I am, but I'm probably more right wing than him on
like religion or
maybe
economics or something. Yeah.
No, I think economics. I'm the most left wing actually. I think for a lot of the social issues, which is dumb. Like I guess I'm more right wing, but I think a lot of that's just I'm more rational and sane than less crazy shit. But yeah, so I think that's what he is. But because he's not, one, he's extremely popular, but two, because he's not falling in line. Well, we have to take you out.
Yeah, exactly.
And in so doing, we make money because we have the headlines and we're just creating. I think they tried to kind of do it with DeSantis, and it didn't work as much. I mean, in the end, he's a governor. He's a governor of a big state, but he's just a governor. And I think now they're just trying to do it for Rogan.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's a crazy time, but like it's fun in a way. It's fun, just like if you could ignore sort of like a lot of the damage that's being done. It's just like it's a party in a way. It's just
it's
like
fun. It's fun if they don't cave. If they don't cave, it's fun.
You're just like fuck yeah, and look, like
that's awesome. But if they cave, it's not like it's scary.
I'd like to think that the tide is starting to change a little bit because so we saw this. So Spotify's not giving in. Netflix has not caved in to get rid of.
And I was going to say that. That's
this was not as big of a deal, but do you remember like I think it was like last year when that dumb high school girl started that whole petition against Trader Joe's and like their food labels?
Trader Jose's.
Yeah, Trader Jose's. And then whatever the Italian one was. If anything,
Trader Giuseppe's or something.
No, if anything, I'm mad that they didn't do Trader Giuseppe's because that's what Joseph is in Italian, right? It's just Giuseppe. But it was something else. It was like Trader, whatever Italian name. But they did for the Japanese line of food. It was like Trader Joe-san. But I love that Trader Joe's. Exactly. But Trader Joe's they after that whole petition and the whole controversy, they released a statement saying basically like, we don't think our food labels are offensive. Nobody's really complained, so we're just gonna keep doing.
Trader Joe's is actually like for a image that is very California, like laid back. Like they're pretty based company. Like know that they're one of the only ones that didn't do a mask mandate.
That's cool.
Vax mandate. Yeah,
really?
in the city, I go to the Trader Joe's and while almost everyone's wearing a mask, like some don't. And I do, and I think like again, I like all this shit. Sometimes I feel more comfortable wearing a mask. Sometimes I don't. It's about choice. And they're like one of the few companies that didn't. And I don't think a lot of people know that.
That's cool. That's cool at Trader Joe's then. That's
yeah,
cool.
it is. I'm a big fan of them. Same like In-N-Out Burger in San Francisco. Like we're not checking our employees like health decisions.
Yeah.
And I think they got shut down though.
Yeah.
Like by the city.
Yeah.
Which they're a very successful company. Good for them for not caving. Because they didn't cave.
Yeah.
I don't know about any other ones, but I know that was one in like San Francisco.
Right.
Do you like In-N-Out? I don't think you do, right?
I do. Yeah. I don't think they're amazing, but I think they're good. Yeah. They're fine. Yeah. If they're there, I'll go to them. And I think
I regret not going when I was there.
I think it's kind of a novelty for people who've never like. Have you had Whataburger?
Yeah, I think it's totally overrated.
I feel the exact same way about In-N-Out. So when me and my family we visited Texas and we went to Whataburger because we heard so much about it. We were like, okay, it's fine. It's a decent burger, sure.
I think it's very. I went to one in Louisiana and I thought it was very overrated. I was like, I think I'm not just trying to be pro East Coast here, but I think Shake Shack is very good.
We have some here.
Oh,
and
do you?
I've been dying to go. So that's our list.
I thought it was very good, and that's why I kind of want to do In-N-Out to like compare them.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge burger guy anyway. Like once in a while, the only fast food I really like, Taco Bell I could eat like several days a week.
Oh God,
but besides that, I just White Castle. Have you ever had White Castle?
I've only had the frozen burgers. I've never had.
No. Oh, okay. So when you come to the East Coast, that's something we will do because that's like it is a very East Coast like Midwest thing.
Yeah,
I think it started in the Midwest and then like Kansas, but it took off. Like Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle takes place in New Jersey.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, like they're driving around New Jersey the whole time. They go to Princeton and Cherry Hill and like like all over the state. So it is a big thing here.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, next time you're here in LA, we will do In-N-Out and you'll probably be disappointed.
Yeah. Well, that's all right. It's part of the fun. I don't think there's any like east of Texas, right? I think Texas is the most east one. There might be like one or two there.
Yeah. But what else is going on in the culture?
I don't know. I'm really pissed off about this though. Like this really bothers me.
Yeah.
Just because can't you just shut the fuck up and be rich and successful?
Yeah.
Like again, this isn't a situation where it's like Neil Young and Rogan and they're both saying like him or me, right?
Yeah.
Like one is saying him or me, the other is saying why not just both of us? Like Joe Rogan's not trying to say no, if I'm here, he can't be here. So
right.
Again, it's just let's just have them both. Have Neil Young go write pro-vaccine songs, then use your art. Start a podcast. It's the easiest thing in the world. We did it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like we can do it. Like start a podcast and bring your own scientists on and shit, and see how maybe you're very successful.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I don't get. It's to me when you want to tear stuff down, whether that's literally like a statue or a musician or an artist, or a podcaster. When you want to tear stuff down, I look at you as a loser.
Right. Exactly.
Like you're the kid who's taking his ball with him from the basketball court or something. Like you're just a loser.
Right.
And it's a shame because, I don't really know Neil Young's music, but like I like Joni Mitchell a lot. And it's just seemed like I'm sure she got a call and it was like Neil Young's publicist called Joni Mitchell's publicist and they had brunch a few weeks ago. And it was like, hey, you want to do this thing? And she's like, what's a Spotify? And, and like, sure. And of course, it's in the headlines and everything. And people think it fucking matters, and it doesn't.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. Where it's like 40 years ago, like these people, they were protesting like actual atrocities. They were protesting wars and ridiculous like tyranny and like clamping down on free speech. And now they're railing against a podcast platform. It's just like where's the like what difference are you making? Like go protest like sex slaves. Go protest like China. Like there are much bigger things than.
Why do you protest the own fucking corporate media who lies to all of us all the time and gets away with it? Like I could pull up a clip right now of Rachel Maddow saying that like if you get the vaccine, it will stop the spread and we will get over this. Now everyone has to get it because the people who aren't, and it's just like that's misinformation.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's not disinformation because I know she sucks, but like disinformation would be like the intent behind it is to misinform, right? I'm not accusing her of that. Like we didn't know. But that's misinformation.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you're saying the wrong. But no one said shit about her show.
Yeah, yeah.
Or what about Dr. Fauci? Actually, he did do disinformation with
with
the masks. He lied to us on purpose.
Yeah.
For whether it's a noble reason or not, that's disinformation, saying that masks don't work, so that the people really need them get them. And now they're saying that the cloth masks basically don't work.
I know.
So that's disinformation, because they've known about that.
Yeah,
that's been going on. Actually, bringing it back to Joe Rogan, he talked about someone on his show who they put the cloth mask and fucking smoked through it, hit a vape through it or something.
Yep.
It's like if those particles are getting through, of course COVID's getting through. Yeah. So now it's like, oh, well, now it's the K95 or whatever. But
I know, yeah.
It's just this term. I like to believe I'm very perceptive of language and what words are people using to mean what. And this new concept of misinformation is one. I think it's changed from disinformation.
Yeah.
Because I'll bring it back to my lawyer. Like being a lawyer, like when you have to prove a crime that includes intent, it's harder to prove. Right. That's why it's easier to prove manslaughter than murder one, like murder in the first degree. Yeah. Or and even that's not necessarily like a reckless homicide or something like that. So and disinformation has that intent. So when they start saying, well, Donald Trump is spreading disinformation, well, some people might go, yeah, I don't know if he's intending to do it. So it doesn't stick as much. Right. It's harder to do. But now misinformation is such a low bar. It's just saying like, oh, well, they're being negligent. Like proving negligence is easier than proving intent. So that's kind of what they're doing in the court of public opinion. Right. They just said, and they throw this word around that like it doesn't mean anything really. Misinformation could be simply as saying I was like they were just wrong. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. But it has this like conspiracy theorist right-wing connotation to it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Rachel Maddow sucks because she wait to say that. The reason I bring this up is because remember the whole thing about Trump's taxes and everything. Oh my god, yeah, she was like so tantalizing and like
we've got Trump's taxes, but they were like from like 5 years ago or whatever.
They didn't like years ago. Shit.
Yeah, exactly.
They didn't do anything. It was just a way to boost the ratings for her to like make the paper airplane with his taxes or like a pterodactyl and like get people to tune in. And then it's like, that didn't prove shit, lady. Yeah. And I guarantee you Trump has like fucked up with his money, like purposefully, like corrupt shit. Yeah. So it shouldn't be that hard to prove if you're going to have all these sleuths doing it. Exactly. Yeah. Like there are plenty of things to criticize Trump about, but like, don't make shit up. Like, just like, yes. Because you lose credibility. I've said that about anyone. Yeah. I say that. Well, I tried to say that with when we had Vito on about Ilhan Omar, and he's like, "Well, she actually might be married to her brother." And I was like, "Don't say she's married to her brother because she sucks for other reasons. That just gives like the her supporters fire to say, look, they just make shit up because they say it's a ridiculous claim." And it's like, well, actually, it might be true. So I don't know. I didn't look it up. I don't really care. But she might be married to her brother. So the drink that I'm drinking right now is called a Lemmy, as in Lemmy from Motorhead. I know. It's wait, hold on. It's Jack and it's like a soda. Not ginger. Coke? That's a Jack and Ginger. Yeah, it's Coke. Is this Jack and Coke? And lime, there's a third ingredient. Lime and bitters. And, really? Yeah. Okay. Did we have one of those at the Rainbow? Yes, we did. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because a Twitter friend, I'll keep him nameless. Okay. But is it just your burn? Is it just your burner account? No. No, he's not from this country. I'll say that. And he better not be Australian. No. He's not. Thank God for that. A little farther north of the equator. But anyway, so he worked in the film industry back in the 90s, and he was living here in LA for a bit. He's back in his native land. And he has actually kind of a fun little Lemmy story because he knows I'm a big Motorhead fan. Mm-hmm. So he goes, okay, Lemmy agreed to do a cameo in my biker film for $20,000 cash in a brown paper bag so his exes wouldn't find out about it. He was going to play the leader of the big national level biker gang. It was to replace another bigger actor, who I won't say.
who had agreed to do it but had health problems. We were going to put on a massive beard and long hair on him. Anyway, this guy from some biker magazine knew Lemmy and set it up for me to meet him by hosting a birthday barbecue for him at my house in Hollywood. All his friends had already showed up at my house. Then Lemmy changed his mind and decided he just wanted to go to the Rainbow where he always went. So we packed everything up and went there. But he ended up not doing. He ended
still
up not
did the
doing
movie.
No,
he didn't do the movie.
No, so there was some weird shady shit, but basically like financing for the movie dried up and they couldn't do it. And then, but it was like, oh, that's cool. Like I love the fact that he was living in Hollywood, right by the Rainbow, and then Lane was like, nah, fuck this part. I'm going to the Rainbow. Like,
yeah. Speaking of Sunset, have you seen that docu-series, which I usually don't watch a lot of anymore, but I am a sucker for anything the 90s related. It's like Dark Side of the 90s.
No, I haven't seen that.
And episode 3 is all about the Viper Room.
Oh, nice.
I didn't know. I just thought it was like any other club, right? Yeah. Everyone knows it. It's infamous for where River Phoenix overdosed outside. Yeah. I didn't realize that Johnny Depp owned it during that time. Yeah. And that it was kind of like an exclusive hangout for like Hollywood elite, like actors, like young actors, kind of this new wave of Hollywood. Hollywood talent. And I thought it was very interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
You have like the guy from Counting Crows bartending.
Oh, that's cool.
Counting Crows bartending, and it was just like where people went. I don't think, but like why I like it is because that couldn't exist in the social media age. I don't think, right? Yeah. Like that was a very pre social media time, which we're never gonna have that again. I thought that was really really cool.
Yeah, no, I remember I was texting you. I was at a show at the Viper Room, and I was texting you. It was a Friday night, and you
wait, it's still there? I thought
it's still there. Yeah, no, it's still there. Yeah,
they didn't change his name.
No, it's still the Viper Room.
Oh, okay.
I was seeing a Guns N' Roses tribute band. They were called Paradise Kitty because they're an all girl group.
Nice.
And I remember you and I were texting back and forth on a Friday night, and I was like, yeah, dude, I'm at the Viper Room, this and that, whatever.
Nice.
Yeah, man, it's so last Thursday I'm sorry, 2 Thursdays ago, I went to a show at the Whiskey, which is another
go.
Yeah, another legendary venue, and I saw they're called Smith Kotzen. So Adrian Smith is one of the lead guitarists for Iron Maiden. And and then Kotzen is Richie Kotzen.
Love Maiden.
Yeah, Love Maiden. And they did do a cover of Wasted Years, which was cool.
Yeah, I really like that song.
Yeah, it's a good song. But so Richie Kotzen, who's more like a solo shredder guy, he's played with Poison, but he's also got his own solo career. But it was like, oh yeah, this is cool. So it was totally spur of the moment. It was a Thursday night, and I'd finished work early, and I was like, oh, I wonder what's going on at the Whiskey. And I was like, oh, hey, Smith Kotzen. All right, I'll go check it out. Yeah. It was a good show. It was funny because like they were the headliners, and then there were 3 supporting acts. The first one sucked. The second one was good, and then the third one sucked, and then Smith and Kotzen came on. It was killer. But it was dude, it's so weird going to a rock show in this whole COVID pandemic era, because it's like you have to wear a mask at the Whiskey.
Really?
It's so dumb. It's so lame. It's like, yeah, you can go to a Metallica concert, but you can't cheer. It's just just like it's this neutered experience.
I think we're gonna look back at this time and we're gonna be like, what happened? What are we doing?
Yeah.
It's like, and I'm gonna assume that you had to show a vaccine card to get in, right?
Yeah.
So you have to show a vaccine card to get in, which also doesn't fucking matter with like it spreads.
Yeah.
Like the point of the vaccine, now that we know, which we were fucking lied to about, is to prevent hospitalization and death.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? Which is good. That's still a good thing.
Good. Yeah, exactly.
But it's not stopping the spread. I know people who went to like parties and apartments who almost everyone there got COVID, and they're all vaccinated. These are like Democrat urbanites. Like they're all vaccinated.
Yeah.
And they all got it.
Yeah.
And they were fine.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
So, but like, why does that matter? There's this concept of, we never had this before, where it's like the narrative has shifted so much that basically the counter argument is, well, I don't want to get someone else sick. And it's like,
Yeah.
when did we ever
I know.
care about like their decision? Like they have something out there for free,
Yeah.
the vaccine,
Yeah.
that they can take to get less sick. And
Yeah.
they're making the decision, one, to not take the vaccine, and
Yeah.
two, to go out in public to whatever it is. Let's say the concert, right? And when did we start caring? Like we gave up our individual rights and show our papers to like protect people who don't want to follow along. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I thought of this recently. I actually thought of this today, this example. And maybe you disagree. I think it's good that we don't smoke in restaurants and airplanes anymore, right?
Yeah,
I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you, Joe, why don't you like people smoking in restaurants and airports?
Because it's intrusive. Like if I'm just trying to like mind my own business, it gets in my way. Like it's just
you're inhaling smoke, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is not good for
Exactly,
your
yeah.
health, right?
Right.
You don't give a shit about the smoker.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. Like the smoker's making the decision to smoke.
Yeah.
So they can smoke.
Yeah.
Like not there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or if they are smoking there, like you don't want them to not basically what I'm trying to say is you don't want them to not smoke at the table next to you, not because like, oh man, they're smoking, I hope they don't get cancer. No, because it's fucking intrusive to you.
Yeah.
Because you're getting sick. So it's the same concept.
Right,
it's like, well, we don't like that person's not going to take the vaccine and still go out in public and know the risks, whether they're 80 or 20, whether they're obese or an Olympic swimmer.
Yeah.
And like that should be it. Like they're making their own decisions.
Right,
Them not being vaccinated does not change transmissibility. We know that now.
Yeah.
We get kicked off YouTube for this.
Hopefully.
I'm looking for an excuse for this podcast to fucking end.
I'm sick of having a hobby.
I'm just joking, of course.
No, that's fine.
I should give my episodic "fuck you" YouTube because then it shows that they're not listening.
It's so funny. Like when I was
does that make sense? Though what I'm saying? Does that make sense? What I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Like we didn't care about people smoking for their health.
Yeah,
we cared because we don't want to inhale their smoke. Yeah, because we're deciding not to smoke for our health. I don't want to do it because you're deciding to do it.
Exactly. Yeah. And like I'm vaccinated, and when I was at the whiskey, like I was like, no, it's because I have this phony card, and that I photoshopped. No, but seriously, like I'm vaccinated, and whatever I did, that just to shut everybody up, and then like it still wasn't good enough. But like the whole time that I'm there at the whiskey, like because they have this thing where it's just like if you have to have the mask on unless you're eating or drinking. So the whole time, like I just have like the drink next to my face the whole time, like I'm about to drink like the whole night, like just like like for 4 hours. I'm just like, I'm about to drink.
Sure,
I'm about to drink. Like
sure, and some place I think I saw in Canada, they have police officers like checking drinks. Yeah. Like checking. Like you have nothing better to fucking do. Yeah. There's nothing better for you to do than check coffee cups. Yeah. What? Yeah.
So to tie this back into the Neil Young thing, it's like it's not rock and roll to be like, oh, I trust. I'm not saying like rock and rollers should like disagree with everything, but it's sort of like this thing of like, oh, I trust the science because that's what rock and rollers do. It's like, oh, fuck off. Like if this is 1968. And we had a pandemic, that the rockers and the countercultural people would be like, no, I'm not gonna go.
Yeah, these people who are like the government is nothing but a war machine, and the corporations will do anything to turn a profit and please the shareholders, and all the corporate media does is lie to you, and it's all like divide and conquer. When you come together, it's like you think that stopped.
Yeah.
You think they stopped doing that?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Like, no, it's the same shit, if not worse, because they have more power and control.
Exactly.
Like what? And it's sad to see. I mean, another example is Howard Stern. This was like the shock jock. This was the guy who was like very pro free speech, who said things that, the silent majority, middle America, decent, even liberal, like decent people disagreed with, had on exploited people. Like he was very exploitative with his guests. I found it fucking
canceled
hilarious.
So fucking fast.
Yeah, he used to have on like
you remember Beetlejuice?
Yes, I was gonna say Beetlejuice. Oh my god. I feel so bad, but it
I
was the
know.
funniest shit ever.
I
And
know.
he
I know.
exploited this guy, or oh my god, who was the high pitched Eric? Do you remember high
Yeah.
pitched Eric who was
Yeah.
terrified of fish heads? So he brought
Yeah.
in a plate of fish heads and just like put it in his face. Like this is the guy who's now. So I say all this to say like, or this would be the guy who literally say have a girl come in a mini skirt and crop top and heels, say turn around, let me get a look at you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now this is the guy that's going to say what's decent and what's not and what should be like permitted. Like what happened?
I know. Yeah.
Like where are your fucking roots? It's disturbing. It just shows that success just turns you into a fucking pussy. Like a corporate neo-lib pussy. Like you're not some shock jock. You're not some like guy who stands up for free speech. You're just like all these other fucking losers.
I know. Yeah. Yeah, I know. All these guys, they all lost their balls when it became lucrative to do so.
Because they're in these
insane.
circles, you know, they're around where you fucking live. They're all in like these secluded Los Angeles and Hollywood neighborhoods where they all just go to the same restaurants and dinner parties and shit like that. And you all have to conform. Like you have to conform, even if you don't believe it. Even if you don't actually believe it, you have to conform. And then they just get the worm, this like corporate narrative worm.
Yeah.
And it's just so lame and it's depressing. Like I wouldn't care if like I wouldn't care if they weren't trying to silence other people. That's where I start getting pissed off.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like,
I don't care what you believe in, but don't.
You want to be
a
a Pfizer shill or a riding with Biden corporatist shill for the credit card companies. I don't give a shit. When you start telling other people to stop talking, like who the hell are you?
Yeah. I know. It's ridiculous, man. And it's funny because like they're not there's no attempt whatsoever to hide their hypocrisy. They just do it. It's like two years ago they were saying like, yeah, you know, people should we should be able to make fun of whatever we want. And then 2 years later, it's like, oh, you can't make fun of this thing. It's just like, oh, fuck off.
Yeah,
fuck
like
off.
you know, I bet you if you check the archives, like Howard Stern definitely had episodes where he was making fun of trans people back when it was back when they were called trannies or transsexuals or like definitely. He definitely had cross dressers on and
he had a contest
disabled.
on. It was it was like a some kind of like spelling bee or contest thing. It was between Beetlejuice and I can't remember the other guy's name, but I remember that his suffix was the retard. It was like Larry the retard or Gary the retard or something like that.
And like which is not like I'm not saying that's okay. Like
right.
I still think you can do whatever you want. Like I don't know, you don't have to watch it. But like now you should not be the authority on what's like pleasant and decent and what the people should hear.
90% of Howard Stern's career is being politically incorrect. And now all of a sudden there's money to be had and like, oh, you got to trust the science. You got to get vaccinated.
Well, is there money? Is he successful still? Like in terms of...
I know he's got a very lucrative deal with Sirius XM or whatever.
But how many people have Sirius XM?
I don't think it really matters. I think it's sort of like he's got the money. So he's like, all right, fine. You guys paid me. I'll just say whatever you want me to say. Like, I don't really care.
It's so lame. And another one that was like, I listen to a ton of podcasts and I really used to like What the Fuck with Mark Maron. WTF with Mark Maron. And he's kind of like this boring liberal. And he had on it was like the first episode I listened to in a while. Yeah. And I was like just scrolling through who's interesting and like kind of Joe Rogan, he can get on really big names. Like he has really big names. Yeah. And he had Serge from, I forget his last name, Serge from System of a Down, the lead singer. Yeah. This guy was very like, fuck the government, fuck the wars. Like this was the protest music of the 2000s, System of a Down. It was like, that soundtrack was like my 2006. Yeah. Like I listened to that in the weight room in high school every day when we were working out. Yeah. Like that was, and now he had him on there and it sounded like something that I would have seen on CNN or like with Jen Psaki interviewing him or something. Like, oh my God, you guys are supposed to be, like, you're supposed to be a comedian, which are supposed to push boundaries. And the other guy, you're a lead singer to one of the best, like, protest bands of the 2000s, which I know the 2000s have the greatest protest music compared to like the 60s, but it was something. And you're here like just shitting on like people who are not even like anti-vax, but just like skeptical of the government. Like Yeah, we all should. We should all have a healthy skepticism of institutions, government, media, corporate. Like, it doesn't mean that they're all evil. Well, most are, but
Yeah.
like, healthy skepticism is good.
Yeah.
And you guys are just like these shills, and I think it's just because you get comfortable.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So, are you familiar much with Christina Hoff Summers?
Yeah, I know she wrote that article that was like the gender pay gap is bullshit.
Yeah. So she's kind of like the anti-feminist feminist. She's cool. I generally like her, but she was talking about how she went to I believe if I'm not mistaken, she went to school like she went to like Berkeley, like which back in the 60s, which is sort of like the center of like the free speech movement.
Yeah. Back when left-wing people cared about that shit.
Exactly. Yeah, when they were addressing actual problems. And she goes, back when I was in college kids, they were in favor of more freedom and more liberty. And she goes, now, but they're in favor of less of it. It's weird. It's such a bizarre dichotomy. Like now, it's like we just wait. Like no, like I want to be protected. It's like no, I want to be free. It's ridiculous. It's insane.
Yeah. Everything is victimization has a price, a value. Protection is big, safe space, like all that shit. It's like you used to go to college to
be challenged,
to be challenged and to fight with ideas and to meet people from different backgrounds. And like I think that's good. Like when college was just like stuffy white kids, males from the upper crust of society, like that wasn't good. Like the diversity is a good thing. Like you meet people from different parts of the country, from different countries with different opinions and stuff, and like it's okay to be challenged. It's okay to hear things that you don't agree with. And it's very disturbing that now it's turned into just a coddling where to be coddled and told that you're great and you like what you say, like what you should say, right? And I had a professor in college who was very left wing, but I respected him when he would say, like, which most professors are, but he was like, I want to teach you how to think, not what to think.
Exactly.
Like, and what happened to that? Like now it's totally turned into you need to learn what to think.
Exactly. I remember when I was taking it was an intro to philosophy class. And so this is back like in 2000. I graduated 2011, so it's probably 2007, 2008.
Well, you graduated college in 2011?
Yeah.
I thought you were younger than I am.
No, I'm older. I'm 32.
Oh, you're 32?
I was born in 89, so
okay. Yeah. All right. I'm 31. I was born in 90. I thought you were younger than I am.
Just because I'm more immature than you, Ben. But anyway, so I was taking this intro to philosophy class, and at that time I was so apolitical. I didn't vote. I didn't care about politics at all. I remember, and like looking back now, I'm so grateful that I had the experience that I had then. Each week, because it was an intro class, so each week we'd focus on a different topic, and then he would give us an article or an essay on two sides of a topic, and like, okay, read these two essays, and then the next class we'll debate them. And one of them was abortion. I'm not going to get into whether I'm pro-choice, pro-life. I don't, whatever. But I remember he gave us two essays, one that was pro-choice, one that was pro-life. And the debate that we had was super civil. It was boring. It was lame. It was like, oh, like I'm pro-choice because of this. And then he would be like, okay, but what about that? And so he would challenge you. And so he would, oh, well, I'm actually pro that. And he goes, well, but what about this? What about that? And like, you could not have that discussion today.
Yeah,
you would not be able to like just like okay,
because someone would say like my cousin got an abortion. This is and your words are violence and this
that's
is violence
my truth.
Against, and this is violence against women. It's my lived experience and I feel uncomfortable.
Exactly.
And white supremacy's in there somewhere.
Exactly.
Yeah. What you're saying is called the Socratic method, and that's what law school is.
Yeah.
But like every class, somewhat like it's not. Some are like pure Socratic method. It's actually kind of fucking annoying because there is no right answer.
Right.
And I had some professors that were like that, and that's good. It was like no matter what it was, crim law, constitutional law, civil procedure, whatever. Like
even if you were on the right side, they would poke holes in it.
They poke holes in it, or like, well, what's the counter to that? Well, what about if this happens? Well, if I change this fact, and that's a great way to think. Like, and it sounds kind of corny, but like the way you think does change from law school. Like, I'm not shilling for law school here. Like, please be skeptic if you're listening to this and you're considering it, really consider what you want to do, what kind of money you're getting, and what kind of job you're going to get after. But that is definitely a positive, is that it changes the way you think.
Yes.
And I think for the better.
Yeah.
Now, some my partner, my girlfriend might say differently, like because it can be, or my parents or my friends might say differently if it's kind of annoying sometimes. But that's why I don't, I wouldn't want to be with another lawyer, because it can be kind of just like back and forth. Well, what about this? But that being said, so that I could not imagine being implemented in like undergrad.
Yeah.
Like in college.
There was no controversy around it. Nobody complained about like debating pro-choice, pro-life.
Yeah.
It was like back then I didn't care either way, but I'm like, shit, that would not happen today. Like less than 10 years later, like that conversation could happen.
I remember I graduated 2013 from college, and like I also remember, I feel like there were topics that like in my school had something called, which was really cool. It was one of the few required classes. All freshmen had to take what was called the CIE. It was for Common Intellectual Experience. I want to see, it was like us in Columbia were the only two schools that did it. And we read Marx, we read Hitler, we read Nietzsche, we read the Bhagavad Gita, we read the Bible, we read Malcolm X, Martin Luther King. Like I could not imagine that they're still reading all those people. Like we read Mein Kampf at a liberal arts college.
Yeah,
not the whole thing. It was parts, because we read Darwin. We like a Darwinist conversation, like social Darwinism is like such a hot button issue. I cannot imagine, because that's what it's going to devolve to, right?
Exactly.
Because you're going to just, we tend to personify stuff, like we're talking about animals, but we're human. So I would like to look, actually. I'm curious. Maybe I'll reach out to some undergrads. That might be kind of weird, but at my school, and say like, hey, what do you guys read? Like, one, does this still exist? Two, and I thought it was kind of corny at the time. And I'm really just having these thoughts right now. Like, I did think it was kind of lame at the time, but now it's like, I would take that lameness of like, we're here on an institution of learning to challenge and read great writers throughout history and thinkers throughout history. And it was like, oh, whatever, man. Like, fine. But I appreciate it now.
Yes,
I do. Now, if I told you what my college cost, you would say, I don't care what you read. But I do appreciate the intellectual challenges and stimulation there. Like,
I know nowadays,
I hope they're still doing it.
Like, and it seems like it's mostly on the East Coast and the left coast, or East Coast and West Coast of like prestigious universities that are in this, where community colleges and everything like in between, like flyover country. You don't see too much of that, like super polarized, left wing.
I don't know. I wouldn't know.
From what I understand, like most of the big controversies seem to come from like either UC Berkeley or Yale. Like it's sort of like,
well, the Ivy League's always going to be highlighted. I think it's, but I mean, I think a lot of it's like Kenyon College in Ohio, like like small liberal arts colleges are always doing crazy shit. I feel like they're kind of all over. Yeah, probably east, northeast and west coast, like California, Oregon. Like the Evergreen College thing with
Portland,
but I don't know. It's kind of everywhere. It's kind of taken over. Or not. Like maybe someone could, I do want to try and get more like listener participation in this. So like if you're listening and you go to the University of Tennessee or Colorado State or whatever, like tell us what does it sound more like? Does it sound more like a woke indoctrination, or does it sound more like what Joe and I were describing, with intellectual stimulation and challenging ideas and that sort of thing?
And my bladder's full, and I think that's it's a good time to
that's good too. We'll get to Lord of the Rings another time.
But this is cool. So sorry everyone for having two different sides, two different podcasts kind of pasted into one. We had some technical difficulties, but this is a fun conversation.
This was fun. Sorry for being a hot little potato.
It's this is your last podcast. This is your last episode.
I'm retiring after this one. I'm surprised I haven't got to 20. Was this 21?
21, yeah.
Yeah,
21.5 or
Yeah, 21 part 2.
yeah, part 2. Yeah.
Well, make sure you do your daily dosage of fighting the crits.
Yep.
And staying reckless. Stay
Yeah.
reckless, Joe.
Stay reckless, Ben.
No.